How do, ladies and gents, and welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're going to discuss the name of the bike. I've named her. We're also going to, as you see above, strip it down. Well, that's the whole loom off. Struggle a bit. Shit. This is gonna be fun. Cause injuries. But I've ended up pulling my left arm. Brake tool. Oh, bloody hell. And much more. But with no further ado, let's crack on with the video. Here she is, guys. The beautiful VN900 Kawasaki Bobber project. Now, as you saw from my previous video, or I hope you have seen from my previous video, if you've not, top right corner now, go have a watch. Basically, I was going to give her a name, but I wasn't going to give her that name until she actually decided to fire up, and she has. So I've named her Midnight. So Midnight is now going to be stripped down, and which looks like one hell of a job. So to you guys, it's just going to be all in this video, but to me, it's going to be multiple days. So I'm going to work from the front and work my way back. The last thing I'm going to be doing is taking the wheels and stuff off, because I have got my trusty Alfred's jack, which I've had for months now and not managed to use it. So that is now going to get used. So let's strip her down. Well, that's the first job done, which is good. Getting all the fuel out of the fuel tank, which took a lot longer than I anticipated. But now that's out of the way, I've got a load more room to do all obviously the wiring. That's the first thing I'm going to do, is pull out all the wiring. Starting off here and working my way back, like I said. Hopefully a lot of it I won't need to actually dismantle completely, if you know what I mean. I can just take the engine out with a lot of the gubbins on it and work it that way. So yeah, headlight first, because literally most of this bike is going to be painted. I don't like chrome, so there's going to be no chrome on it. It's going to need new bars anyway because these are mullered. I am going to put some new foot pegs on as well. But yeah, waffling on, sorry. Crack on. So guys, I've moved quite a bit along actually with the bike. So this is what we're looking at the moment. Bars have been stripped, which is all good. I've left this indicator here just because I'm using it as a prop at the moment. Luckily, I'm hoping that a lot of the electrics, because I've completely stripped it now round, it's all on this side. I'm hoping that I can actually leave a lot of it on the engine and I can just pull the engine out with all that attached, because I'm not doing anything with the engine except for obviously painting these covers and things like that, which I can actually do once the engine's out, and leave obviously the wire and loom on, which is going to make it so much more easier when we do the reinstall. The issue I'm having at the moment, as you can possibly imagine, as it's got a bit of surface rust on there, a lot of bolts and a lot of screws are just turning and snapping and things like that. So that's going to be sort of bits of drilling out later on, potentially, or whatnot. But to be fair, the frame's actually in good nick, in a way. See, it looks all right all the way along here, which is absolutely fantastic. It's until you start getting like behind the back here, as you've seen originally in there. But if you look further across inside, it is pretty surface rusty here. So at the end of the day, I think I'm right in what I'm doing and just completely stripping it down. One, because I've never done one before, so it's a project on that side. Two, it's good for you guys. And three, potentially later on if I end up selling it for something else, and that's another thing I might end up doing at a later date. The person who buys it knows, yes, okay, it is a categorised bike because it was vandalised, but it's been stripped all the way down to its bare frame, repainted and redone. But like I say, when I said about obviously doing another project on a bike, that's only because the fact of I've seen the views that this one's getting, and thank you so much, by the way, for every single person that has liked, subscribed, and even put comments down. I've read them all, I replied to as many as I possibly can. It's just great. This bike, old Midnight, she has done so well with content. So like I said, if this one's good and I want to do it again, I might look at another cruiser or something like that. But if I do, my dream cruiser is a Harley Davidson Fat Boy. So if one of them came up and it was a good price, I'll be jumping it like a shot. But anyway, that's enough for me to doing it today. Let's move to day 2. Okay, so we're on day 2 now of stripping down Midnight. As you saw from earlier, we've done quite well. Oh, sorry, I've done quite well, I'd like to say. But I'm hoping today is going to be engine out. Let's go. The one thing I'd recommend, guys, if you've got a hugely, like I say, I've never worked on one of these before, label everything up, because at the end of the day you have no clue what it's going to. So yeah, my advice literally is just to label every single connector, so then it's easy enough to put it all back together. Well, that's the whole loom off, and I gotta be honest, it's not actually that bad. When I came in, when I first looked at it after dealing with it from yesterday, I thought, okay, I'm going to leave the loom on the bike. But actually, there was only a couple of plugs still needing to come off. And now that I've done that, there's not that much to take off of midnight now to get the engine out. So that's a really good plus sign. Like you say, you got a couple of cables and things like that. But yeah, all honestly, I think, to be fair, today, fingers crossed, the engine will be out, and I think most of it will be stripped down today. The other thing I'd recommend for you guys is pretty much what I'm doing at the moment. I'm making notes to myself in video and photo form for when I put this back together. Because obviously one thing I did have here just a second ago was a pipe for the fuel line, for the vacuum, which goes onto the front of the fuel tank. Now, I can imagine to myself, I'll be like, where the hell does this go? Because there's no connection to the bottom. So I've literally just made a quick video for it to tell it to go down the side here, down this rail, and it's going to save my ass basically. Because my memory is very poor. I think, guys, once I take the belt off of it, the engine's ready to come out. It's going to have to go that way though, and from looking at some of this, there isn't a whole lot of room if something goes wrong. So this is going to be interesting. Kawasaki ladies and gents that are out there that just heard that and worked on one of these before, relax, I figured it out. So after pondering over trying to think how the hell I'm going to lift that out and probably drop it, my luck, I've just seen these. How I didn't see them before. So it shows sometimes you just need to eyeball things and sit down and look at things logically, but luckily, so all I need to do is rip the front end off, absolutely, rip the rear end off, absolutely, and then you unbolt them and you take the top of the frame off, so then it exposes the engine all there, and then you can just lift the engine out if you need to. But obviously I'm going to need to, because I need to strip down the entire frame and send it off to paint, and I need to do some stuff to get the engine things off, so crack on! Oh yes, got it. Great thing is, guys, when you start collecting so many tools, when you start doing jobs like this, you're like, oh, do I have that tool, do I have that tool? And then eventually you've done it, well, you've got it over another project or something. Shit. This is going to be fun. Right, I'm going to have to try and find a way. I ain't using impacts, I can tell you that for free. Not on something like this. I'm trying to find a way of stopping it from moving forward. Right. This is where I'm going to need my favourite little helper. So what a nightmare that was, trying to get that out. So even with my trusty little helper, as fantastic as she is, we couldn't get the bike from stopping to go that way. So in the end, what I had to do, and you're going to freak at this, because the issue is the VN's got a solid rear wheel. So the only thing I could manage to do was strap the disc to the frame and tight as I possibly could. And you need a lever bar with a 27 on it. And after pushing it most of the way through the garage, even with that torque on there, it managed to undo. And there we go. So, yeah. Woohoo! And there we have it, guys. She is now off and in my hands. So there is another modification for this bike, which basically you get a bigger pulley for the front, which has about 2 more teeth on, and that helps with higher up speed. So for example, so I've heard, I've not ridden one of these, so I don't 100% know, but from speaking to other people who've got them, if you put a bigger sprocket on the front, it basically lowers your RPM when you're going at higher speed. You lose a bit of acceleration, but at the same time, when you're cruising along at 70, it sounds like the bike's really sort of revving high, but with a bigger sprocket, which you can keep the standard belt on, it just helps the bike out. So that will be one modification as well. So lucky guys, you just missed out on a catastrophic near schoolboy error. So after getting that off, which is now off, I just undid the ratchet strap, and as soon as the ratchet strap came off, the actual stand was like this, and the bike went forward. And I grabbed hold of these two bars for absolute dear life to stop it from going over, and it didn't go over, but I ended up pulling my left arm. So unfortunately, that's going to be me out of the count for maybe the rest of today. But we're moving forward. So we're now on day 3 of stripping the bike down. Now I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that today will be the day that that engine comes out, and then it's going to be on my jig there, and I'm going to be separating the whole bike all together. One thing that doesn't make sense to me, well, obviously it makes sense, but it's got to be a pig to do, is this. So if you wanted to change the belt on this bike, you've got to literally take the entire rear swing arm, or suspension arm, or rear, whatever you want to call it, off to get to it. That's got to be a pig of a job to do. So I just had a look before doing anything about obviously getting this engine out. The only way I can think of doing it, so I was thinking of doing it by hand, but I think that's just a really stupid idea, is I've got to take this panel off here, got to take that one off there, and I've got to take this one off here. Luckily, the bike is held in by that one, and this one, and this one here. So once I undo all these, it's going to be, all the weight is going to be coming this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my trusty jack over there. Whether this works or not, I do not know. But like I said, I've never done this before. I'm going to put the jack on underneath. So it's going to take the weight from it, obviously coming this way. And then once all the bolts are out, and then obviously this panel is off, I'm going to pull the engine off with the jack. Fingers bloody crossed. Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh, bloody hell. Well, thanks to my beautiful little helper, the engine is now out of the bike, and it's over there. So the reason why I put this there is because I had to drop the engine oil out. To take this off, it literally exposes everything in there. So I've got enough room here to be able to move it over, take this pan off. I've taken these off as well, because like I say, all of that is going to go to the body shop, and they're all going to be painted. I hate chrome, as you all know, so they're going to be painted brown. Yes, you heard it, brown. So the bike is going to literally be green and brown. And the frame, all the frame and everything is going to be black. So it's going to be black, brown and green. So guys, we are now going to do what I've been wanting to do from day 1 of getting this bike. That is cutting these off. So don't worry, I've got my safety goggles on, I've got my mask on. So let's finally turn this baby into a bobber. There we go. So I haven't finished yet. I am going to smooth that over so it looks more round. Same on that side. Yeah, no more receipt. Another thing I'm going to cut off is this, if you can see, because that's for the rear lock. Don't need it. There's no going back now. Just to give it a bit of protection, a little bit of primer. Well, that's going to make things 10 times more easier. So rather than traipsing down and being on my knees all the time, save my back. That's class. If you guys need one of these, Halfords, 200 quid. There we are, guys. I've managed to shoot a bit further ahead from what you saw a minute ago. And yeah, so the rear end's now off, which is a bit of a pig actually, I must admit. So all I've got to do now is take this belt off, take this plastic piece off, and then that's the rear done. And take obviously the centre piece out there. And on this one, all it is just take the front end off. Typical as always, guys, battery dies. So here we go. Midnight is now fully stripped. Okay, yeah, I've got to take these off. That's very, very small, minimal stuff. But she is fully stripped down. So now it's sending the frame off to be sandblasted and powder coated. From that point, the wheels, front forks, the chrome bits on the engine, fuel tank, front mudguard or fender if you're American, and my bobber rear end mudguard or fender if you're American, will be going off to paint. So I need to get quotes and stuff for that yet, so it might be a little while, guys, until you see another video on Midnight, because it's trying to find a good body shop. It's also seeing how they can fit me in, and it's also funds. That's the biggest thing, guys, funds. So yeah, it might take a little while for the next video in this to come out, but hopefully, fingers crossed, it might not be too bad. But yeah, you guessed it, guys, that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. It has been probably about 4 days doing all this, but I'm hoping, I am really hoping it is going to be so worth it, because I'm seeing so much on this frame, especially on the rear, that does need doing, because it's just, I'm seeing a lot of blisters and stuff of surface rust, which if you don't get in quick, as you know with rust, it's cancer for metal. I think I might have caught it in time, but I've made a lot of a lot of little videos to myself of how to put it back together, which I recommend to everyone to do that. But yeah, hopefully, like I say, it's not going to take too long until you see another video. Like I say, guys, I hope you have enjoyed it. Please put some comments down below of what you think of this video and you think of Midnight. Also, like I say, I know what colour I'm going to do it, but throw a few comments of what you think the colour could be or what you would paint it. Like I say, chrome's not my thing, so that's going black regardless. But there is going to be some other colours as well, and I think I said earlier on, it is going to be brown and green. So yes, put some comments down below, guys. Hit like, hit subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you on the next one, guys. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you later. Ta-da.